And so now let's see if we can put a bow on our current series, The Giving Birth to Your Greatness. There is greatness in you, as we've been discussing. And learning to unleash that greatness is one of the keys to your success. But as I've said over the course of the last couple of weeks, the overwhelming majority of people don't really believe in themselves. And no matter what they've been able to produce, they still find it hard to believe that they're great. Now, maybe not you, but maybe somebody you know. And as I've said to you before, just generally speaking, one of the things that interrupts the flow of good is what we see and think and believe about ourselves. And the fact that we believe it, we already know that that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. So what we've been doing over the last few weeks is just looking at the creative process as it comes from the Genesis narrative, and we understand that that process is a process by which God created, and if it was possible for God to create it that way, it's also an indication to us of what we're capable of should we do what God did. Are you with me? And so this process invites us to some steps, some very practical steps that give us the ability to transform our life, world, and affairs. The first step in the creative process in the first day of creation was to let there be light, right? And at that step, we said it was important for us to know who we are and to know whose we are so that we could consistently manage the darkness or the unmanifested parts of our soul so that we could then let our light shine. Then the second step was the faith step. And during the faith step, we said we had to set the expectation for our good. We had to be willing to work. And we also said that part of that work was being courageous enough to release those things that no longer served us. Yes? The third step was the imagination step. And we said we can use our imagination to manifest our divine potential, but it would require us to get outside of our comfort zone. The next step was the understanding and will step, and we said that we get understanding by learning to listen to the whispering of the still small voice, but we also said we can get understanding by just keep continuing to make mistakes. Someone said a wise person will learn from another person's mistakes. And so there is the possibility for life to not be hard if we will learn to listen to the internal guide, God the good. Then on last week, we looked at the judgment step, and we said that judgment is our ability to discern, to evaluate, and to come to a decision. And then there were some elements in the judgment step. And on today, we look at love, wisdom, and rest. At the beginning of this series, one of the things that I said to you, and many of you know this, is that whenever you introduce a new idea to an existing reality, that new idea creates what we call chemicalization. Chemicalization is what happens when our souls get upset when what we think of ourselves clashes with what God knows is true about us. And so for some of us, when we heard the word great, it upset something in us. It created or triggered some sort of internal war because you're telling me I'm great, but the stuff I'm doing has no greatness in it. You're telling me I'm great, and the situation I see myself in has no greatness in it. You're telling me that there is greatness in me, but do you know where I come from? Do you know what I've learned? Do you know what I've been through? Do you know what the kind of hell I'm working through right now? You're telling me I'm great, and there's nothing about this that's great right now. And what I also want you to know is that that's good. Because if you get upset enough, it will disrupt the pattern. Are you with me? And so we want to make sure that we continuously introduce the light of truth so that that truth can upset you. You ought to be upset. At least once a day, you ought to be upset. At least once a day, something in you ought to be disturbed that says, where I am right now is not sufficient for where I want to be. And if you spend your days in the comfort zone, if you become okay with where you are, the fact that this time it's just your ankle that hurts and it's not your whole foot, that's not okay. Kim, that's not okay. The fact that they love you today and can't be honest tomorrow is not okay. The fact that you can pay your bills today, but you're not sure about next month is not okay. Right? There ought to be something that disrupts you every day so that you can reconnect to the truth and begin to move more specifically and intentionally in the truth. So chemicalization is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. And whenever you find yourself in spaces that challenge your norm, don't run, don't leave just because it makes you uncomfortable. When you find yourself feeling like the people in the crowd that you want to run with are better than you, don't run from the crowd just because it seems like they're better than you. Saddle up next side to them, see how they got to where they were. Because I guarantee you, at one point in time, some of them folk were right where you are. Are you with me? And so don't run from the divine discomfort. It ought to upset you when the greatness that you are isn't showing up yet. Not only did we say that we might experience chemicalization, but we also said that we might experience some structural tension. Yes, you remember that? We said structural tension is what occurs when we introduce a new possibility to an existing perception. Somebody say perception. The way that you see yourself may not have anything to do with the truth. So when you come here or when you get in a class and we introduce these new possibilities to you and the possibility disrupts your perception, that is structural tension. Now what happens whenever we experience structural tension is we've got to do one of two things. When we experience structural tension, we have to either give up the possibility or we have to begin moving to manifest the potential. Are you with me? And so these steps in this process give each and every one of us the ability to manifest the possibility and not just settle with the perception. Good? And so today, this morning, we have, again, love, wisdom, and rest. Now, love is a variety of things. It's not like many things, love is not one thing. Love is a feeling, it's a state, it's an attitude. When we talk about it from the perspective of interpersonal affection, you'll hear when you're talking about love, you'll hear yourself saying things like, I love my wife and I love my children, or I love my mom and I love my dad. Right? When we think about it from the standpoint of pleasure, my foodies, the president of our board is a foodie, and every now and again, when she has a good meal, she says, "Ooh, I love that meal." Right? She just loves food. Some of you love music, and when your jam come on, you be like, "Ooh, that's my jam." That's just another way to say I love that song, right? And so these are some of the ways in which love manifests itself. When we go back to some of the root of the word, when we look at the Greek forms of the word, the Greek gives us 4 kinds of love. Greek says that there is a storge love. This is a kinship or natural familiarity. As I just mentioned earlier, some of the people that you are in relationship with, they're not family by biology, but they are family by love. Right? There's a kinship. The moment y'all met, y'all just clicked. Right? And then there is the brotherly love, the philia love. Right? You hear Philadelphia is the city of brotherly. Philia love is the love that exists or that we experience whenever we find ourselves in the presence of beloved. It's like friendship. One of the ways you can know you're struggling with philia love if you find it difficult to be yourself with the people you are in relationship with. If you find yourself wearing a mask in relationship, you're not able to really express the love because you're hiding so that you can match the image of how they see you rather than being who you genuinely are. So not only are you not honestly sharing love with them, you're not honestly sharing brotherly love with you. Are you with me? How many of you know it's really, really draining to hide yourself in relationship? Yeah. The other love is the eros love. The kind of love that I hope we're going to learn about at the married couples thing. Hope they teach us something about that. I mean, not that I need to. I just want to make sure that everybody else get it. I'm concerned about the rest of the married couples like that. And then, okay, maybe I could learn something too. And then there is the agape love, the emptying out love, the emptying of oneself in love. So when we're talking about love as a step in the creative process, we're really talking about the interaction of each of these from the standpoint of how it is we manifest our greatness. Are you with me? Because your greatness is not simply intended to be manifested on the inside. Whatever you are on the inside is intended to be manifested on the outside. Yes? And as I said to you before, you can only manifest that which is within you. See, even though an acorn has within it the ability to become a mighty oak tree, it does not have the ability to become a mighty palm tree or a mighty ash tree or a mighty elm tree. Why? Because that DNA of the divine design is not within it. And so you can only manifest what is within you. But the greatness that is within you is intended to be manifest. It's not so that you can become inflated about yourself. It's so that you can let your light shine. That's why I love this song, "This Little Light of Mine. I'm going to let it shine." So when people see your greatness, they will glorify your Father. Yes, the Father goes right there at the end. It's time for class. So then, what is love? What is love? What is love? How does love manifest itself? How does love manifest itself in very practical ways? One of the ways that love shows up in a practical pouring out and expression of self, one of the ways, hear me, put this in your notes, one of the ways that you can manifest greatness is through your compassion. One of the ways that you can manifest greatness is through your compassion. What do I mean when I say compassion? I mean the empathy with which to understand what somebody else is going through. When I mean compassion, I'm saying the ability to imagine yourself outside of your shoes and in someone else's shoes. See, it's possible that they didn't speak to you today because they didn't see you. It's possible that they didn't call you because they knew they had a bad day and they were going to put that bad day on you. It's possible that they couldn't be what you need them to be because they're not being what they need to be for themselves in the moment. And the ability to understand what somebody else is going through is compassion. But we have to be careful because compassion, there's a very, very thin line between compassion and enabling. There's a thin line, Porter, between compassion and codependency. See, compassion does not mean that you are anybody's rug. Another way that you can manifest your greatness is through your cooperation. And we all know what cooperation is. But one of the things that we have to be careful of or be mindful of when it comes to cooperation is the degree to which we continue and carry out the commitment that we made. I've heard it said this way. Some people say yes and do no. Jesus tells the parable, a father has these two sons. To the first son, he says, I want you to go out to the field and work. and the son says, listen, Dad, I got a lot of stuff to do today. My agenda is full. I know you need me, but I can't go. He goes to the other son, and to the other son, he says, listen, son, I need you to go out to the field today. The other son says that, Dad, my schedule is clear. I got nothing else to do. I will do it. And then he doesn't do it. And so Jesus asked the question. He said, which one honored the father? Is it the one who did what was asked, even though originally he said he wouldn't do it? So you are not cooperating in love if you say I will and then you don't. There is no love in that. See, love is not just a noun, love is also a verb. Love is not just doing, love is also being. And it does not take anything from you to be kind to the manifestation of God. See, when you really understand what I'm saying, when you really get this idea of oneness, you know that all of the people you meet, even the ones who cannot do anything for you, are people who deserve your kindness. Because they are made in the image and after the likeness. You really want to show the world you're great? Be nice to people you don't have to be nice to. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Another way we manifest our greatness is through our service. I remember one time Sylvia and I were coming through customs. I don't know where we were coming back from, some island somewhere. And at this point in time, there must have been 3 or 4 planes, Renee, that they let off in the customs station at one time, because the line was backed up to the ramp just about off the plane. And so about 40 to 45 minutes into the wait, I could feel the truth leaving from my body. At first I was mad spiritual. I had just been up in the clouds. I was real close to God. That's a joke. But I was crazy spiritual. And with each moment that passed, it was almost like I could feel the spirituality just draining out. And as the spirituality was started draining out, something else was coming in. It almost felt like anger, but I'm too spiritual to be angry. And so there's this exchange of beingness. And then about the hour and 15 point, I start to notice that other people are getting into line. Like they open up a line just after I passed the point where I could have gotten that line to been ahead. So now, it's like my power is draining even quicker. And I think we had a connecting flight, I'm not sure. So probably about an hour and 45 minutes after we get off the plane and get through customs, the customs people were fine, but when you walk past the next to last checkpoint, there were some young men who were working at the conveyor belt for luggage. Dog. And one of these dudes asked me if I was looking for my luggage. And he pointed up in the ceiling. Like, you looking for your luggage? It's up there. And I'm like, is what now? It's up there. I'm like, wait a minute. I know he ain't playing with me. And I just waited 2 hours to get through custom, right? So my point is this. His job is there for service. And if he does not learn how to better provide service, particularly to people who are not as spiritual, he's going to wind up spending the rest of his life right there loading luggage at the conveyor belt. And there's nothing wrong with loading luggage from the conveyor belt. You with me? But there is something wrong with playing with people when you're supposed to be serving people. Are you with me? And so, if you want to be able to manifest your greatness through love, if you give your service, and we talked about service last week, so I'm not going to cover it. You can get the tape or CD if you want to go back through it. But service is important. It's the rent you pay for the space you take up and the air you breathe. Right? Service is important. It's one of the ways we manifest our greatness. Let's go to wisdom. Now, wisdom, while love is the idea and divine mind of universal oneness, wisdom is the idea and divine mind of orderly knowledge. Right? And wisdom manifests itself through particular ways as it expresses through each and every one of us. Wisdom will manifest itself through you and I, so wisdom will manifest its greatness through three things. Put this in your notes. Through your intelligence, wisdom will manifest, or you will manifest your greatness through wisdom, through your intelligence, through your intuition, and through your inspiration. Those are three of the primary ways that God's wisdom expresses through us. The orderly knowledge of the divine expresses as wisdom through us in these ways. When you allow yourself to move and commune in these ways, then the greatness that is attached to wisdom flows through you. Are you with me? There was a story about Henry Ford hiring Charles Steinmetz to install some generators at one of his factories. And there was a particular afternoon where the generators failed, and Henry Ford's mechanics couldn't fix the problem with the generator. And so he had to call Charlie Steinmetz back to come and take a look. And Charlie came and took a look, and he started to tinker around a little bit. And before too long, he flipped the switch. And once he flipped the switch, the power to the generators kicked back on. Everything was back to normal. Then Charlie Steinmetz sent Henry Ford a bill. And the bill was for $10,000, which back in that day was a decent amount of money. And for those, well, if you're familiar with the Henry Ford story, he was considered to be a little on the cheap side. So he didn't understand why someone would submit a bill to him for $10,000 for just a few hours' work. And so he inquired, like, why is this bill so much? He said, well, it was only $10 for me to come and tinker around. He said, knowing what to tinker with is $9,990. Right? There is value in what you know. Right? There is value in your wisdom. There's value in your wisdom. You listen. Can I just talk about me for a minute? With all of my good book learning, I got a lot of good book learning. I could sit at my grandmother's foot, and she would just drop jewels. She would just drop dimes. She would just give it to me. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how does she know all of this stuff? It's wisdom. Right? You can't manufacture wisdom, but here's what you can do. You can tune into it. Because the omniscient or the all-knowing is ready to flow through whatever mind is open and available to it. So if I will open my intelligence to it, the point at which I turn off my natural knowing and I move past the border of my natural knowing and I open myself up to the all-knowing God, the moment I do that, my creativity starts to flow. My insight starts to flow. I start to see things differently the moment I get past what I know and connect to the omniscient. Without fail, it always happens. Intuition will work the same way. You don't have to call your girlfriend and ask her what you should do. You don't. You can. You know what I'm saying? Like, no shade, no shame. You can. But I don't know if her advice can lead you to greatness. I don't know if his advice can connect you to greatness. Right? Now you know you got a good girlfriend or a good boyfriend when they tell you, listen, what you want to do is you want to connect to the intuition. You want to let that mother wit talk to you. You want to settle yourself down and what do you feel? You ever had that experience where something told me? Something told you don't lead you wrong until you say no to it. That's your intuition. That is what God equipped you with in order to know how to tap into the wisdom, the all-knowing. Are you with me? And so when it comes to the inspiration is simply the breath of God. It is the ruach. It is the life of the life-giving one. When you understand the value and power of your inspiration, and when you understand that inspiration is the breath of God, you also must then understand that the words that you speak are infused with the life of God. And so when you have an inspiration, don't waste it talking to people who can't hear what you're saying. Are you with me? And so then wisdom is one of the ways that we can manifest our greatness. And then finally, there's rest. There's rest. There's rest. And you may already know this. You may already know this, but I do want to give you this headline. You may already know this. But it's nobody else's responsibility to refuel you. It's nobody else's responsibility to fill your bucket up. It is, raise your hand, repeat after me. It's my responsibility to fill my bucket up. It's my responsibility to refuel myself. One of the ways you do that, one of the ways you are divinely designed, just going back to the wisdom of God, the wisdom of God made you a certain way. That wisdom works. If we will align our behavior with the wisdom will naturally do what it is designed to do. Rest is a part of the divine design. Check this. Right now, in this our region, nature is at rest. Who told it to rest? It's simply in the divine design. And now, as a result of this winter season of rest, there will be a season that follows it. Oh my God. I don't want you to miss this. After this season of rest, there is a season that follows it. What's the season that follows it? Yeah. No, you said that like it's winter. Right, Chester? You said that like it's winter. What's the season that follows winter? Right? Winter, things mellow out, they rest out, they chill out. Some things go underneath. After this season comes spring. You hear me? After the rest comes the spring. See, some of what you are destined to do out of your greatness, you don't do because you don't rest. See, and if there is no rest, there is no spring. So you praying for your increase, you're praying for things to work according to how they ought to work in the law, and you're not in alignment with the law. If you want to get the benefit of the spring, you got to be willing to rest. And you have to watch the Western mindset. The Western mindset is go. And listen, I'm one of you. I am a type A, don't stop, don't rest, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it. I'm one of them. I'm one of them. Right? I'm one of them. I'm one of you. And as I mature, life and wisdom is teaching me the value of rest. So now instead of don't stop, get it, I just don't stop, get it. I just don't stop, get it, rest. Don't stop, get it, rest. Because there is value and power in your rest. It's a part of how the Father designed you. There is a part of you that needs to power down. And don't worry about it. When your body powers down, your soul does not. when your body powers down, it simply gives the restorative power of the divine an opportunity to work its work without you interfering. And what you will find is that if you will rest, then you'll really be able to don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it, don't stop, get it. All right, I love you. God bless you. I'm gone.